This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, we'll start the meeting. Meeting of the Finance Committee. I believe we did get minutes from the last meeting, correct, sir?
Mm-hmm.
I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor is not here. Public speak. Anybody here who wants to speak other than members of the committees? What's Nicole's otter again?
It's
IA.
it's a thing that transcribes dialogue. We use it at work, actually. I found this out the other day. It's for like when you're doing interviews, it'll transcribe them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so new business. First thing is a veterans cash benefit transfer, veterans part-time clerical. Our veterans agent no longer works for us, right?
He's here till June 30th.
So, but this is straightforward, it seems to me. It's from one part of the department. It's a transfer between two departments, so two sections of the department.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have no problem with this transfer. If we definitely need the veterans agent, I can have him come to the public hearing. You guys have anything on it? No?
It's just that, like, since the person's moving on, we're having a temporary clerical position.
That's what it says, yeah. And they're using money that's already in the budget, so they don't have to add a supplemental.
Oh, all right. Well, then,
Just a transfer.
yeah, that makes enough sense.
Okay, have a motion to approve 3,500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
4,000, this is another veterans thing. This is coming also internal department transfer, supplies and materials. Easthampton Veterans Wellness Coalition supportive events. Sounds pretty good to me, so I have no problem. Anybody? This is again, money that's already in the budget. They're transferring it from the cash benefit account to the supplies material. I take it, Hadel, you probably don't have this figure, but there's plenty of money in that budget. The cash benefit, because you would have to
Over 200,000.
in the cash benefit.
Yeah.
So they have that much left for the
No, I think it's one. No, that's not. No, don't count me on that. Don't count. But there is enough money.
There's plenty of money.
No, it's just I don't know how much money is left in that account, but they do have a lot of cushion in there because not every veteran was getting the benefit. We had some veterans who died, so.
That's why there's a lot of money in the cash benefit. That's why they're using it to transfer. Makes sense. Anybody else? Questions? Take a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to move 4,000 from veterans cash benefit to veterans supplies. All in favor?
Aye.
This is you, Michael. You want to talk about Ferry Street?
Ferry Street, Counselor. I'm responsible for this one. Somehow I either had a math error or missed the submission of an eligible invoice. So we have a deficit in the Ferry Street Mass Works program. City spent $3,882,000 in Mass Works funds. And again, somehow my math was off, but we ended up with a deficit in this account. The grant is closed and we are unable to secure any more funds from the state for this project. So I would ask the councilors to look favorably upon this appropriation request.
Does this close out Ferry Street?
It does. Ferry Street was out about a year ago.
Okay.
So just for the public understands, and I understand. So in this situation or future situations, when there's a project and the account closes, there's still more work to be done. It has to come from the city, or if it was still open, you'd be able to go to the state and ask for additional funds. Is that how that works?
Yeah, if the grant was still open, we could submit this reimbursement, but the grant closed. It ran a course of about 3 years. And again, I submitted, I think, 13 reimbursement requests. Every single invoice from every contractor that worked down there, I was responsible for cataloging and submitting. Somehow I missed one or my math was off.
Okay. Thank you.
What's the not, when you're talking about, did you say 3,822,000?
Yeah, we received a grant from the state for $3.9,100,000. We spent $3,882,373 of that grant. So we returned about $18,625 to the state. Again, I either, missed receiving an invoice.
Michael, I am not worried about a 0.001%. $2,600 when you're talking about 3,820,000. I don't think it is taxpayer money, yes, but I'm certainly not concerned about it from the point of view of an error. You have so much to do, so many dollars you're covering. Surprised this doesn't happen a lot, and thank God it doesn't because of you. So I'm not worried about it. Counselors, anything else?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, it's when you think about the amount of money and how confusing construction projects can be, I think that, with all that great stuff that we did there, the $2,000, we can figure this out.
Right.
And you know what? Even though it's a MassWorks grant, that's taxpayer money too. So a little more local taxpayer money doesn't really make a difference to me.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the process.
Okay, thank you, Michael. It shouldn't be a problem. You might want to chime in on Wednesday night next week, just in case anybody has a question. But I would downplay your apologies because I don't think they're necessary. It's an error. It happens. Okay.
Okay. Thanks very much, folks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve $2,603.13. This is a supplemental from free cash for the MassWorks Ferry Street to cover a grant not reimbursed.
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, wastewater treatment plant. We keep fixing this thing. Come on.
Chipping away at it.
125,000 enterprise retained earnings for the public. That's the free cash and enterprise retained earnings. Enterprise is the section of the budget that pays for water and sewer items. Permit compliance, a lot of maintenance, as you say here. You want to say anything to it? Obviously, we need to do this.
Yeah, well, what we're trying to do is just chip away at some of the larger improvements that need to be made at the wastewater treatment plant that we can't do within the constraints of our O&M budget. I feel like we put some appropriations through a couple months ago that to help offset the solar energy agreements that were changes that the impact of the solar energy agreement changes on our budget. And I would have brought this forward then when we were trying to get to the end of the fiscal year, and we can do something similar to this every year to supplement our O&M budget. We can really start seeing some stronger improvements at the plant that are much needed. So it's really all we're trying to do.
All righty. I don't have any questions. I know the wastewater treatment plant, being as old as it is going to need constant maintenance. Counselors?
I had the pleasure of visiting the plant, and
That was a pleasure. You need to go back to the word pleasure.
No, it was great. It was very informative. It was great to meet the employees over there. And so it was very clear that there's things that need to be done. So
I hear it smells nice.
it was life affirming, I'll tell you that.
Tom, anything?
No.
I'll take a motion to approve 125,000 from enterprise returned earnings.
So moved.
Second.
For motion, enterprise retained earnings 125 to wastewater treatment plant maintenance. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next one is trash pickup. And disposal, wait a minute, is that what's next?
We skipped over the bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I'm
it doesn't
sorry.
matter.
I
We can
was
do it in
in,
whatever.
I'm way out of order. Let me
I mean,
finish with,
I
let
think
me
we're
finish with
actually- yeah,
Rick,
That
and
makes
then we'll
sense.
get back to that, okay?
Okay.
324 to cover, our snow removal. Now, every year we budget 200,000 and we're budgeting that again this year. I just looked at that. 200,000 is common because if we have a very less snow year, you don't want to put too much money in there because then you can't use it for something else. And the reason is, and this is still true, it's the only budget that can be deficit spent.
Yeah.
What that means is all the other budgets have to close out.
Mhm.
If we didn't have free cash, this could stay at its overage of 324. It could stay there. We'd have to figure out a way to pay for it next year.
Mhm.
So that's why we don't put too much in there every year. But 324, we had a lot of ice.
That was the issue this year, yeah. A lot of salt and an increase in salt cost. Just to give some perspective, everyone, our salt went from $63.73 a ton. If we purchased it prior to September, to the end of September 22, to $81.55 a ton. So
Is this supply issues as like transportation stuff or just?
if I had to tie it to anything, I'd say fuel costs and the costs associated with trucking it from, the various places they get it. Most of it comes out of the Port of Albany, and comes up the Hudson River, out of, from New York State. So, say some of the cost is there, but it's just, everything's gone up. That's a tough increase.
Okay, it's a lot.
And we had long duration ice events. We didn't see a lot of accumulating snow this year, but
Mhm.
you know,
It was really, really cold.
freezing rain and 3 days, you'd have icing occurring for 3 days straight. And you'd have to keep treating and keep treating and treating. So it was just a challenging winter in that respect.
Plus we have the mountain to treat.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot more ice than a
Yeah.
straight road. I mean, more salt. Anything, Connie?
Yeah. I was just thinking about that.
Tom?
Kate almost had her.
Oh,
Can I add one more?
I couldn't see you. You weren't on the owl.
Mhm.
This account can be in deficit as long as we budgeted what we budgeted prior fiscal year.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's why we always budget the same thing.
It has to be the same. If we under budget that account, then we can't let this account go into negative. But as long as it's $200,000 every year, we can let it go into deficit spend.
Well, we don't want to do that anyway, because that hurts the next year budget.
Yeah, so the reason we cover the cost before June 30th is if we don't do it, it needs to be raised and appropriate on taxes
For the next fiscal year.
for next fiscal year. So we avoid that. There are communities who just put it on the taxpayers, but we pay upfront, so it doesn't increase the tax rate.
Well, they deficit spend every year, so it just they keep doing it. And this is better.
Can I ask a question?
No,
Whoa. Are there alternatives to salt? Study here. Like, if we're gonna see like 30% increase and next year we're gonna say, lower, and it's gonna keep going, like we could be double in a couple of years. And so we obviously don't have the budget for that. So
I mean,
not to put you on the spot.
no, there's some, but our equipment is set up for using salt. And that's just kind of. the way
We
it's
just get
done
some
all over
huge
New England.
flamethrowers on the
Yeah.
trucks.
well, there's.
No, it's a great question. I'm being
No,
facetious.
there's different treatments that are out there, but I always say I've heard it on the radio, we have the best roads in Western Mass when there's a snowstorm, so, part of it is the amount of salt, the way our highway department handles things, but it's something that we're gonna have to look at, especially if costs continue to go up.
Right.
Like they did. I mean, they don't usually change that much. I think a lot of it was tied to how expensive diesel fuel got, as the pandemic began to wind down.
For sure.
I'll say it publicly. I think not vendors, but they're not the local vendors as much as the big manufacturing companies. They took advantage of the quote unquote supply deficit
Sure.
Yeah, for
and they
sure.
bump prices up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You just have to look at profit margins and you'll see that.
And part of my question is when I lived in Kazakhstan, some of the sidewalks were under steam pipes.
Really?
And so the sidewalks were clear because
The steam pipe.
the warmth of that. And so I don't know if there's ways of,
The steam pipes are under the sidewalk? or-
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Well,
don't,
we, the
nobody
steam,
uses
the
a lot of
entire,
steam to heat around here.
Mhm.
But
or hot water, because they heat through hot water.
sure,
And so those pipes run underneath
Yeah.
the street. And so it just naturally kind of warms not the.
sounds like the community of the future with geothermal energy.
In some ways, that's what it kind of was, right? Was that,
interesting.
Anyway, can I have a motion to approve 324?
so moved.
We have a motion to approve $324,100 from free cash for various accounts under the snow accounts. Any further discussion? All in favor? Next one for Greg is 12,000 to fix up. This is you, Greg, the
Yeah, for
trash
yeah.
removal? Yeah. This is just a typical end of year budget deficit.
Yes. The trash hauling expenses have gone up. We don't have enough in the budget to cover them.
Okay. We put a little more in this year,
Yes.
but we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, let's just hope the costs don't go up anymore.
Obviously, this is just a budget deficit. Any questions, Counselor? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve 12,000 for trash removal?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can you explain this one? MVP climate resiliency.
Yes, so in FY '21, we were engaged in the design and planning process for the work that's currently occurring on Cherry Street.
Mhm.
Also in FY '21, we were coming out of the pandemic. Well, June of 2020, it was all we could do to keep basic municipal services operating with our water, sewer, and engineering staff. Just had to have people home, have people here, everyone staying apart from each other. And unfortunately, at that time frame, we weren't able to cover our in-kind match that we thought we'd cover with staff time towards.
Explain the in-kind match again.
So when we get a grant from the state, part of the city's responsibility in receiving that grant is to match some of it with city funding and some with our staff time. So if the water, sewer staff or engineers have to spend some time on Cherry Street, we're able to calculate their hourly pay and deduct that from the city's portion that needs to be contributed to the grant program. That fiscal year, we weren't able to make, we fell short of $11,345.08 on our match, and clean that up and close out the grant.
Because during the pandemic, they couldn't get out to.
We couldn't get, it was difficult to meet, difficult to get everyone to get to pull everyone together. I mean, the project saw some delay, but it is, it's coming together now. The binder course got put on the street yesterday, so it's starting to look like a road again. And all the water and sewer is replaced, so
That's great.
it's really excellent to see it coming together. But just unfortunately, we weren't able to meet the in-kind match that year.
Just to simplify it, we are required to match the grant. And in one way we did that was to have staff time calculated. Any of our staff time that was necessary for the project would be an in-kind match.
Yes.
And you calculate how much that hourly rate is, et cetera, et cetera. You put that against the grant, and we didn't have enough, so we have to cover it now. Okay. Okay, makes sense to me. Any questions?
I'm certainly glad that the water and sewer is there. That was a frequent source of constituent complaints for many years, so.
Yeah.
So it's new water and sewer. Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve $11,345 from enterprise retained earnings to the MVP Climate Resiliency Program. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Greg, you're done.
Okay.
So the only thing we have left is the bulletproof vests. I don't know where Bob is. This is an end of year budget deficit again. FY 21. What's an IOD medical bill? Anybody know what that stands for?
Injured on duty.
Typically, these happen at the end of the year. I have no problem with it. I can make sure that Bob is at the public hearing to make sure people have questions.
Yeah, I mean, with these things, I'm always a little interested in just like how these deficits occur. Like, what was it that the price went up and we didn't expect it, or was there something else? But like, if we got a grant and we got to match it 11,000, then I guess that's what we have to do.
I can add a little bit to this. There is a solution for this now, but it was too late before. They have a requirement for West purchase, and it was like $35,000. They put in requests to the state, and there is something not an agreement between state and federal, and they didn't get the reimbursement in time. So what I was able to do prior fiscal year is able to charge their budget account to reclassify 35,000 to the point where they were only in deficit by 11,500. With an anticipation that down the road, they will get that reimbursement from the state, and they never got that reimbursement. So that was the result of this deficit. Last fiscal year, when free cash was certified, $11,000 hit our free cash, and if we don't take care of it this year, it will hit our free cash again. So what I'm asking all these departments is to take care of it now, so it doesn't hit our free cash. This will happen every 5 years. So what we have agreed is every 5 years, police is going to put $35,000 in their budget so they don't run into this kind of issue.
Because every 5 years we have a grant application or something.
I don't know about those details, but I know that there is a need for this purchase every.
Oh, every 5 years.
That's what my question was gonna be, I noticed it's 33, and so
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was purchased for everybody, and then is there a warranty? Does it
Yeah.
go bad after, right? So
I don't know that, but I know.
I think it's probably certification.
uh-huh.
You can't wear an old vest. But I'm speaking out of turn. I'm not positive, but I remember that being an issue.
Mhm.
With a lot of fire and police equipment, they have to be certified by state regulation or something like that.
Mhm.
And I guess that goes to liability if you're wearing a, God forbid, or uncertified bulletproof vest and it fails.
Yeah, and the standards change every
Right.
time, but we're just speculating here.
Yeah.
I would like Bob to speak
I
to
will
this
make
with the
sure
full
he
council, but I have
Yeah.
no problem with it moving to there.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve Law 1,528.61.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Said we'd be done by 6. I'm wrong. It's 5:53.
keep talking.
No. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Turning off the recording.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.